One of our last match of the weeks is going to be coming up rather shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Suning versus Jingdong is about to transpire right in front of us here in Shanghai, and it is good to be back. I am very excited. We did just have a brief break. I have muted myself, and I can now hear myself. So it's not technical difficulties. It's me turning my own headset off. Happy April Fools, everyone. Welcome back. Raz, how are you?
I'm doing quite well. I was wondering if you had a stutter.
I was just having some trouble there. I was really having a difficult time with this.
Yeah.
But we figured it out. Welcome back, everyone. You'll see behind us, we currently have an April Fool's event going on that the Chinese broadcast is putting on. As soon as that is done, we'll be getting into our matchup between Suning and Jingdong. And again, this is the e-commerce wars. This is for the final playoff spot out of the East Conference, I believe. Yes, the East Conference. And this is must-win for Jingdong.
Yes,
they are currently behind in the standings, and they can make it. It's just real tough.
It shouldn't be like this because, remember, both of these teams, including RNG, remember they're also on the chopping block in the sense, they all lost to LGD. That was supposed to be a cakewalk for all of them, all of the above. But the fact that they couldn't take that extra set, all of them following through, specifically Jingdong, ending up experimenting in Game 2, putting themselves into Game 3. Now they find themselves in a position where if Jingdong lose this set, they are out of playoffs. That contention is gone for them. RNG and Suning Gaming both lock themselves in, and will have to battle for who takes third.
So to be clear, the way that Jingdong currently make it into playoffs is they beat Suning. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-0 or 2-1. And they beat their next opponents, which are Rogue Warriors, happening next Saturday. And Suning also lose to Invictus Gaming. So that is 3 conditions that must be met, but they can only deal with those one at a time. First of all, they have to beat Suning Gaming here and now before they have to worry about Rogue Warriors next.
You're right about them having to go for one step after the next, because the next step, you can't really say for certain that they won't be able to take down Invictus Gaming or they won't be able to take down Rogue Warriors, because both of them are quite comfortably first and second place going into playoffs. So you don't know if their opponents are going to be practicing going into that point. So you have to have agency now. Jingdong and Suning have to be able to take this victory because they only have one set afterwards. Jingdong, the reason why I say this, they need to take this victory because they only have one set next. So you already lose out in the match discrepancy. So it doesn't go into head-to-head or point differential. You just lose out flat right now.
And as you say that, the opponents that they have to play next are very difficult. Invictus Gaming, ostensibly the best in the league right now. They're looking to be one of our big contenders as we get towards the end of playoffs. And some international teams, not to name any names, might be casting some few wary eyes toward Invictus Gaming's direction, especially after they tried a new strategy that Rookie admitted to in the interview afterwards, saying, hey, we're playing against the second best team in the league. Let's try something new just to see if we can. Oh, look at that. We can.
Exactly. So there's that next step.
Yeah.
So then it starts with step 1, going up against each other. Suning Gaming, and this is when I want to take a step back and say that Suning Gaming are a team, remember their most recent set being able to take down Rogue Warriors. They look phenomenal. They look at a point where even though they lost that set versus LGD, they came back and showcased that their early game is as strong as you can place it. So I want to look towards Jingdong, and if they can weather the storm early, specifically in the mid lane, in the jungle, Hacker has been looking towards the mid lane time and time again. So that's where I want to look towards that point in the map and say, can you actually force that point if you're Suning Gaming and take a victory there, or if you're Jingdong can counteract that, if you can get proper counter ganks, because Clade, if he can find that lead, then he can make things happen on the map.
And it is a question that we have to expand to both teams. Consistency and execution has been a challenge for both Suning and Jingdong. You can see Knight and Yagao on your screen right here. They are 2 huge new members for both these teams, both rookies, and arguably these are 2 of the big people that we'll have to talk about when we expand the conversation to Rookie of the Split, because both of them have come in with excellent performances here in 2018 Spring.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, of course, Knight has showcased he can be a true carry for his team, but you look towards what Yagao has, and a lot of what his strengths are, it doesn't really showcase here. The best thing is damage percentage, just because, of course, he can go towards the poke champions like Zoe. He can go towards like the Azirs and have those outright performances, but he's primarily an engaged player. He plays towards the Scion, works out very well for him, and he can get fights rolling for his team. So Yagao turned out to be quite a supportive leader for his team. Meanwhile, Knight is a fantastic carry. So that's going to be a nice kind of point to look towards in this set to see which style actually flourishes.
Especially when, at least as far as I can remember, when we saw Yagao step into his own, it was on Galio popping up with huge damage with the full AP Galio once that started to actually become a thing here in the LPL. But it's more than just the mid laners that you mentioned here. I always have to expand the conversation to the mid-jungle 2v2, Clid and Hacker in this matchup, because it's not Knight and Tian, it's not the package duo for Suning. They're running Hacker in this matchup, and Clid is pretty experienced.
Yes, but I would say that Hacker has turned into, I'd say, a package. Sure, they brought in Tian really early on in the split to make that worthwhile, but Hacker has found himself constantly going towards the mid lane. His kills and assists at 15 have been bonkers. First blood rate towards the mid lane has been incredible. So it's not something that you'd be surprised about. If a team goes up against Suning Gaming, they know exactly what the strategy is, and it has been to counter gank mid lane. So you're right, Clid is experienced. Recently, he's been going far more towards the Kha'Zix, which is a snowballing pick. So if he can find a proper 2v2 towards that lane and get his lane ahead, then you can't count them out. So that's why I like what has happened here for Jingdong, where they're kind of going towards more Kha'Zix, and if they get spanned out, then they go towards Sejuani, and Clid on Sejuani can start fights for him time and time again.
That also frees up Yagao to play some slightly more damaging carries in that scenario, if he wanted to try to match Knight in that regard. But that's just the mid and jungle synergy. I mean, you can literally pick just about any lane that you want to talk towards. Something that we must also note, bottom lane, Loken is starting today for Jingdong, not RD, who has recently been playing quite a bit. So we have to wonder why week 9, day 6, they're going back.
All right. I'll tell you why.
Why?
It's a bit of a secret.
Okay.
Let's
get in.
Okay,
What's
last
the secret?
set he had was awful. So it was essentially the 2v2s they picked for him. He even got the Caitlyn's for himself going into Zyra Khan lane. So we've seen, we saw it earlier today. We saw the Caitlyn Morgana compositions going up against Zyra Khan. Early on, still in level 2, even though it's a good lane matchup versus Zyra Khan still do incredibly well level 1 and level 2, but that's when they actually ended up falling.
Yeah.
So he was in a really poor part in the early game for his team, and they ended up winning that. But ultimately, you don't want to find yourself in that position to begin with. So finally seeing Loken back onto the map, sure, he may still come back, and Artie can still come back and get in game 2 or game 3.
Yeah.
But give him that opportunity.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he actually will be able to come back over the course of this matchup because, again, that game 1 is so important. We know both of these teams are huge on execution early on.
Yes.
Suning, they really thrive when they've got strong strategies.
Yes, so once again, if you put in RD and if you fail that hard in the early game, Suning will be able to pick you apart from that point. Suning Gaming, Hacker, Xiao, Knight, the top side of the map works so well together. And when we saw in this game specifically, you try and make something happen in the opposing side, that was when a point where, sure, Knight goes up top lane, TPs towards the bottom side of the map to protect that dive from happening. You see them having such clear communications on the map, so they work as a team before they even get to the 20-minute mark.
I just love how Mouse ended up missing the call of the Forge God and bashing it backwards. But like you said, Suning, they're so effective at playing the early game and sort of snowballing that pressure. It really seems like every set that they come into, they have a plan. For game 1, they have a very clear priority that they try to run with.
Yeah, honestly, if I look towards teams globally, I would closely relate them to Vitality in a sense, because our criticisms have been in their Baron setups. Later on in the game, mid to late game, they tend to flounder, or if they have a lead, they can throw, but the early game leads have been beautiful. So against Rogue Warriors, a team that has been known for their late game team fighting and being able to kind of slowly get to that point, no fantastic laners on that team. It was Suning Gaming that were able to take advantage of that. Proper 2v2s through jungle, mid, top lane, worked out well for them, and they got themselves a 2-0 victory.
And of course, Suning with the point lead that they've gained for themselves, that means that they need to only win one single of their next 2 series to guarantee that they're in. And of course, their series is up against Jingdong right now, so if they win here, that's going to be it. But to further that conversation, let's now take a look then at these supports and how they sort of interact with that bottom lane for these 2 teams, because Fury and Yoon have been stepping up quite a bit since we first seen them come into the LPL just last year.
Yeah, it's fun to see that, because the way they've stepped up, let's say Fury has gone towards a few picks. The Ashe is what I've liked.
Yeah.
But Yoon, I wouldn't say it's the duo that's been working well for themselves. It's the fact that Yoon has been able to roam quite well towards the opposite, like the top side of the map, and get plays going for him. So Knights found himself successful because Yoon would work well with Hacker to get that going. which is why, in contrast, if you look to the enemy team, Lu Mao has gone towards mage supports to actually just hard work towards the early game. Early game laning phase for the team has been a major priority. So it's, can that actually work if you're Suning Gaming and have a 1v2 lane? Because if Jingdong are looking for the straight 2v2, you have to respect that.
Especially if you want to try to unlock Mao, and it's Loken down there in the bottom lane. Someone whose positioning is a bit suspect at times. We're not looking to like mystic levels of mispositioning, but still can be a bit of a liability.
We haven't seen him in quite some time. That's why I'm willing to give him some leeway. Because sure, when we did swap him out, it was mostly because give RD a chance. Loken has been messing up in terms of positioning. But what made Loken a strong carry to begin with to start the split off was his positioning. This is really funny because if he starts messing up in that sense, then you have to swap it out because he's been playing a lot of Kog'Maw at the time, was their primary form of damage. So if you're an AD carry focused team, centric team, it's nice to see them swap him out. So I think that now that RD had his poor set, you bring in Loken once again and given another chance, I think that he's willing to take that.
And we know this is a strategy that coaches have done before. For example, with Imp and FDY just behind him, ready to sort of pounce the moment Imp ever showed any signs of weakness. But even in the regard of other AD carries, I'm trying to think of Uzi. He's got so many players behind him with Y4 and Abel ready to hop in at the moment he makes any sort of mistake. So this is a very high-stakes league. Again, this is the top level of play here in China.
And Jingdong have been a team that have done this before. It's not only towards the AD carry position. You look towards the jungle spot. It's been the same case for Klid as well. Klid only recently came back, and he was playing much stronger than the first set. So now that we've seen him come back for the team, when he was getting challenged by Xiao Han, we see real drive from the team, and it seems like that's that drive that might push them to the finish line.
So speaking of drive, I actually want to turn our attention then towards the top lane, because I know you've probably been thinking about it for quite a little bit. Xiao Al versus Zoom. And if I remember from your top lane tier list, Zoom is a bit higher up there.
Wait a minute. I did the jungle. You
mistaken tier
me
list?
for Clement?
I forgive me. I've
done
so many.
But you're right.
Tier
Clement
lists.
Clement
that was
did
Clement.
come
That was
in
Clement.
there,
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
Clement did have his top lane tier list and really did value Zoom because of the CS differential that he had early on.
I am so sorry. I just realized I added you instead of Clement.
Yep. Apologize. Anyways, that being said, just to get back to it, Zoom has done very well for himself. And I think that Swain going into this is going to be a major pick to take away. Because in the footage that we ran, Xiao Ao was playing Swain for himself, got a lot of attention from his own team. And a lot of bans have been going towards Jingdong's direction because Zoom's Swain has been quite well. Sure. Rusty made a big point. Ban the Swain. Both of these teams have played it incredibly well on the top side of the map. So I want to see what they get when it's off the field.
Well, we might get a chance to see it later today, of course, over the duration of this matchup. For now, though, we're going to take a look at a quick video on the matchup and see what these two teams think about playing each other.
Can see it from the way you're looking at me.
我觉得我们现在的状态是在上升期嘛，就比之前就团战运营都好很多了。
苏宁的中也是非常的有进攻性，但是我觉得如果我跟可丽的做好的话，应该也是不会输给他们。
开了，
打过了，
打个减速，这边
看这个人
哇，这下漂亮！
面对苏宁的上单选手狼行，我们也是老对手了，只要注意好对阵细节，我是可以赢他的。
我觉得狼行和字母在那边上单都个人实力非常强劲嘛，我觉得还是狼行比字母强很多了。
另外一边，但是身边没有伤害啊，只靠狼行，狼行先斩掉一个，没有。狼行说谁说没伤害？我一个人就有 double kill， 还可以继续追击，下一个一技能多久？先看第一个 Q。
저번에도 진동이 플레이오프 못 가는데 저희 이번에도 가고 싶어요. 진동 跟苏宁不管是赛场还是赛外都是老对手了，我相信我们京东一定能战胜苏宁的。
And we're back once again. You just saw an excellent video on Suning versus Jingdong, calling themselves rivals both on and off the field. So already showing a bit of amplitude and some hype for this because, again, this is the battle for 4th place. This game could very well decide the fate of Jingdong. Will they continue to play in the postseason, or will Week 10 be the last we see of them for a handful of months?
Oh, you want me to answer that one?
It's a hypothetical question, Raz. I'm opening the floor to you to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Literally anything.
Okay.
The whole world is your oyster.
What I'm going to talk about?
Uh-huh.
Suning Gaming.
Suning Gaming.
Let's start with Suning Gaming.
Of the two. Yeah.
Because Suning Gaming have surprised me with their level of growth from the beginning into the split to this point in the split. And a lot of the growth that they've had was around, of course, we already talked about it, their rookie mid laners. So this time around, I'm going to focus on Knight just because Knight, he was able to play the style that he had. He had a slow build up in the beginning of the split, but to this point, he's been, I would say, a leader for the team in the sense that he can create plays for them quite frequently. Echo has been his go-to pick, and it has been banned out time and time again because he always makes things, or at least beautiful plays, happen with it. So that's where I start and say, Suning Gaming, your early game is so phenomenal. Why are you in this position to begin with if you can take these sets or games off of RNG teams up ahead of you? And it's been the fact that their later game team fights have been a little bit murky. So that's when Jingdong can come in.
It's actually kind of funny that Suning are seeing success in the way that they are, because you contrast that to Jingdong, who seem to have had almost a problem in sort of a similar sense, where Jingdong were a team that was defined by Doinby, and they played around his style, they played around his stardom for so long. He ended up leaving and going to Rogue Warriors. Yagao came in, and he hasn't filled the roster in quite the same way that Knight has. Knight has really changed the style of Suning completely.
Yeah, I feel like they've retained their old style, funny enough, Jingdong. Because even though we started the split and it was Yagao saying, I'm a different player than Doinby, I'm more of a carry. He can play the supportive role. I can essentially break out and create plays for my team. He played those supportive style. A lot of it was on the Galio. Sure, we can make points or jokes about the fact that that was still open to him at this point in the split when it's such a strong champion. But he went towards essentially tank champions, and they played around team fights, around their AD carry. So if that's not a Doinby team when they were in Jingdong last year, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Well, we're almost ready to get into this game one. Of course, the April Fool's event behind us has reached its conclusion. And that means that it's time for the e-commerce wars. Suning versus Jingdong is about to strike down here on the stage. You can see the players are already in their pods, and they are prepped and set.
I just want to look towards the, Jingdong lineup to see if Yagao is utilizing Kid's chicken Galio skin that he had, that cosplay that we had earlier on. Just want to see if it's still out there. It'd be a good time to put it to use.
I'm just saying, Pizza Party Silverman. Do you think there's pineapple on that pizza, Raz?
I mean, I think there is.
Ooh. Would you put pineapple on your pizza, Raz? Wait. We live together, and I didn't know this about you?
I didn't say yes or no. Wait a second.
You didn't deny it. Alrighty, we'll get into the lineup. Suning up first. Xiao Al, Hacker, Knight, Fury, and you.
This lineup has been together up until this point. Hacker has been that main jungler, and of course the reason for it is because he's done so damn well early on.
Their opponents, Jingdong, Zoom, Clid, Yagao, Loken, and Mao.
So yeah, I want to see what Loken can do really early on, and I want to see if that laning phase gets impactful, because let's say really Suning Gaming's bottom lane isn't known for their laning phase. A lot of that is just focus taken away from them. In fact, early game, they look towards top lane more often than not, getting Zoom ahead, and also just using, of course, the jungle matchup. So I think if Loken comes in, picks up the Caitlyn, if we see the Lulu support as per usual for Lu Mao, then suddenly that reshifts the entire focus for Suning Gaming, and I don't think they're ready for that in game one.
So I've got one quick hit for you, Raz. It may not be our match of the week, but I gotta know, who do you have in this matchup?
All right. I think it's going to go for the full 3 games, and it's going to be Suning coming up ahead.
Ooh, Suning 2-1, the call by Raz, but it's our casters now, ready to get us into game one.
Thank you guys, great job on the desk, but we'll take it from here. I'm Pulse, this is Clement, and we're ready for the e-commerce wars. How you doing, Clement?
Actually, I'm Raz.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. How you doing, Raz?
I'm doing fine. I'm trying to do his hand gestures, just so you all know.
Your voice didn't even change, Clement. We're trying to imitate Raz.
It's really hard to change your voice, man. He has a really deep and profound voice. But we do have the e-commerce wars ahead of us.
We do indeed, Clement. We do have those e-commerce wars. It's going to be an important matchup for both these two teams. To rehash what the analyst desk was saying, Jingdong pretty much need to win everything from here on out, so it's much easier for Suning to find their 4th place spot in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, definitely a very serious match here, and also I think who will be Rookie of the Split is also on the line between Yagao and Knight. These two have been our best new players in the mid lane, and they actually have quite different styles. For Yagao, I actually think he has a more diverse style. We talk about the Galio, the Azir, and also the Zoe. But for Knight, I feel like he's been able to focus and hone on his assassin split pushing. We're talking about the Rise, the Corki, and also the Echo that has been popping off recently.
Definitely, but you look towards Yagao specifically, and I feel like he just has that X factor sometimes. Like, yes, he's moved to more like the Galio picks from here and there, but at the start of the split, we saw so many Zoe games, and we were like, damn, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Comes out of the gate, just smashes every other mid lane, and we're like, what is going on? So Yagao, now that Zoe's back, maybe we'll see it again today.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting contrast because on the one hand, Knight is pretty much, we know what we're going to get from him. But for Yagao, he can play around his team. He can play for the super late game as well. So it's going to be a coaching decision on what type of composition Jingdong really presents to us.
Yeah, really where they want to try and play around. We've seen the upper bounds of what Jingdong are capable of, and actually Suning Gaming, to be honest. We've seen upsets from both of these two teams in recent days, so I do wonder which team is going to be able to play up today.
Yep, definitely. Jingdong took down RNG in stunning fashion 2-0 and then dropped games to LGD, just like pretty much about everyone else in the Eastern Conference. So a lot of up and down right there. Suning, on the other hand, did lose to RNG, but it was a very close-fought series. They showcased a lot of their early game potential, still had the early 15 minutes in the bag. Suning still are the best 15-minute game in the league so far, even over Invictus Gaming.
100%. It's just so clean, but at the moment they are 9-8. Jingdong Gaming are in fact 8-9. So very close in the standings, but Suning Gaming, if we close playoffs right here, they would be in.
Yeah, we do have to talk about the trajectory of these two teams, because at one point, Jingdong was actually the 2nd best team in the Eastern Conference, but now they're sitting all the way at 5th. And for Suning, they started low, but they rose high. And I think the real factor here has been the junglers. Hacker has stood up, while Clid has actually been replaced for a while with Xiao Han. So Hacker did not start as a starter. Actually, Tien was the one that they played more at the start of the season. The Hacker really showed up. He had a much better GD at 15. He's actually leading the league, has a much better control over the entire map, highest jungle control percentage out of any single LPL jungler as well. So he's been really the pillar of the Suning early game, and it's been showing. They have more of a dedicated focus to what they want to do in their game plan, but I feel like Jingdong has been switching around players and having really inconsistent stretches.
The 2v2, the mid-jungle duo, definitely going to be an important part of this game, as you said, Clement, and we even heard it from Clid himself, or rather Yagao, that he needs to make sure that the synergy is there with Clid to try and make this one happen. As we get into Champion Select for Suning Gaming and JD Gaming, we'll be banning away Kha'Zix, Galio, and Kog'Maw for Suning Gaming, and JD will take away the Xayah, the Swain, and the Samkench.
Very standard bans coming out from Jingdong Gaming right here. Right now, if you're on the red side, you do have to ban out Xayah and Swain. We do have to note, Suning Gaming actually deliberately chose blue side. Now, this is actually pretty rare, so their first pick is going to be incredibly important.
There must be a reason, and Olaf is open, so Suning Gaming will instantly lock that one down for Hacker.
It's interesting as well. Hacker is actually not that hyped on the Olaf. He's much more of a Sejuani and Jarvan player. We typically see him pick up his jungler a bit later, but if he's going on the Olaf hype train just like Ning has been recently, it has to be for a clear reason. They are targeting the 2v2.
Yeah, it was left open as well, and you've got to deny that one for Clid, because if you pick something else up there, then you know that JD Gaming are just going to instantly lock that one in for Clid in the jungle. Caitlyn has been picked up as well for JD here.
Oh, great prediction from Raz, knowing that with Loken's playstyle, he's most likely going to go on to the Caitlyn. Like we said, Loken is more of a carry that needs more protection. He plays much further on the backline compared to someone like RD. The reason they had RD through the middle of the split because they wanted to squeeze a little bit more damage out of their backline. Loken is, he's more consistent in that sense, and I think it will shift more of the attention towards the mid lane for Jingdong.
For sure. A lot of faith being put in Loken to put him back on the starting roster here. And also we have the Alistair for Lumao in the bottom lane as well. Suning Gaming will lock in the Karma though. That's going to be a flex pick here for Suning Gaming.
Yeah, we have seen Knight actually pick up the Karma before, but like you just said, this could very well go into the support role as well. That is a good matchup against the Alistar.
Looking towards possible mid lane picks here, just flicking through a couple of different champions. It's going to be the Morgana in the end. So that actually does lock in the Karma to mid lane, unless we're going to see some top lane Morgana shenanigans.
Oh, this is kind of a confusing draft right here, and we're actually seeing Yagao think about taking a page out of Knight's playbook, going for the Echo himself. Now, it's interesting because the Owlstar doesn't have a very good time into them. I should say it's interesting that they took the Morgana, because usually that's a takeaway from the Caitlyn Morgana type of combo, but they've already locked in their support, and showing the Morgana here it's more for a composition perspective.
Yeah, it definitely reveals more of what Suning Gaming are looking towards. However, Zoe has been locked in for Yagao. We were praising him just before we headed into Champion Select, saying he was amazing on this champion earlier in the split. Now that Zoe has found a resurgence, he's definitely back on this champion. In terms of bans, we've got a Jinx ban coming out of JD Gaming, and it will be responded by a Jarvan here. So I think Clid and then Varus will be the final ban from JD.
Yep, when you look at the Morgana and Karma combination, you have to say that they are looking for hyper carry on Fury. That's why we're seeing the Jinx being banned out here, even though we don't see Jinx quite often. The other hyper carries that we still have left would be Tristana, which doesn't have a very good lane into Caitlyn either, but would fit their composition quite well.
Let's see what's going to be. Suning Gaming will lock away the Zac in ban prison here, so Clid will not get his hands on this one. Actually do wonder where he will go from here.
Yep, we still have the Sejuani left open. It's
yep,
still a relatively big pick for them. For Jingdong Gaming, though, they do want to look for something that has a bit more power in the 2v2 duo. That's why you pick the Zoe. That's how you want to create advantages if you have the Zoe pick. So I would assume something like the Kha'Zix would be on board, but of course it is banned away. The other would be Lee Sin. Clid's also a big Lee Sin player.
Definitely a possibility, but would be facing Olaf down in the jungle here. Na is going to be the pickup into the top lane here for Zoom. Don't know the top lane matchup just yet, so it's going to be a safe all-rounder for Zoom to pick up right here and give that final pick over to the jungle, in fact.
Yeah, there's no way they should lock Ashe down. Tristana is much more of the hyper carry. You don't really want to be protecting the Ashe, a utility champion, but Ezreal is an interesting one as well, because Ezreal isn't your typical hyper late game carry. He actually spikes much harder in the mid game. So they're looking at this massive spike in the mid game where Caitlyn is relatively weak and try to take as many fights as they possibly can.
Yeah, they're pretty much all in on mid game, honestly, because you look at a Karma and a Morgana, you're like, it's a hyper carry. We know what's in the AD carry role. Ezreal gets locked in. It's like, well, I guess we're all in on the mid game. We don't win there, then we'll just FF and we'll go next. But JD will look towards the jungle now. And even though a lot of hype picks are open, Skarner will be locking here for Clid. Just going to play it safe.
Yep, Skarner is the, I think, a better choice over the Sejuani right here. Skarner does do the physical damage, so you will have a stronger 2v2 in the mid lane. And also the catch potential here is quite noteworthy as well. So Skarner, good lock in there. Good composition from both sides. I wouldn't say they're particularly comprehensive comps. They're comps that are very tailored against each other. So for Suning, they really want the mid-game fight to go well for them. Like, usually teams would have picked the Tristana in that scenario when they had the early Ardent Sensor coming out from the Karma trying to increase the attack speed, but they actually went with an option that deals less overall damage just to beat down Jingdong in the mid game.
Seeing Nakosha shake hands for the first time in this series. And as you said, Clement, Suning Gaming are one of the best, if not the best, 15-minute teams. So if you are looking to escape the laning phase, look towards your roams, get into those skirmishes, and try and make it happen in mid-game, then Suning Gaming, one of the teams I would say you can make it happen.
Definitely. And on the right side, we have Jingdong going back to their roots with the Zoe and also the Skarner, playing around Yagao again now that Loken is in the lineup instead of RD.
Yeah, looking for that 2v2 mid-jungle duo to try and get it going. Try and get that Zoe rolling in the early game and start getting those one-shots as you get to the late game. We've seen how powerful Zoe can be even on this patch with the reduced damage on Paddle Star and the Steepy Trouble Bubble, but it still hits like an absolute truck later on into the game regardless. So will be something that Suning Gaming have to look out for, but hopefully they will be in the late game.
That was a great Harlan shake coming out from Loken right there. You know, it's been a while since we've actually seen him onto the Rift.
Yep.
He is a Korean player coming out for Jingdong.
He is indeed in JD Gaming. Going to try and lock this one down. Very important for them. They have to win pretty much every game from here on out. And Suning Gaming, if they lock this game down, they will be secured for playoffs. Fans out on Force in the audience, as you can see. Also here for the April Fool shenanigans we had going on just before this matchup. Mao's going to have to flash away here, though, because he was getting bullied down by Suni Gaming, who came in for this invade. Loken also low himself, and Fury may even look for the interrupt here as well. He's probably just going to wait, maybe even take a tower shot, yeah, and just Q him. He didn't even take a tower shot.
That was interesting play from Loken right there, knowing that he was going to get hit by the Mystic shot, and he still stayed in the same spot. So, really cheeky play from Suni Gaming. They used the right-hand bush towards the mid side to get really close to the jungle and just kind of surprise Jingdong Gaming. Jingdong Gaming were a bit greedy. They were scattered on the map. They wanted the extra 60 gold that the Skarner's Spires get you. So Suni actually read that very well and countered it with a concentrated level 1 play.
They'll get a lot from this one as well. Hacker will get that blue buff, uncontested in the bottom side of the map. Bot lane will be helping, of course, but she'll get into lane just as the minions are about to die. And when you're looking at Clid now, maybe he'll go into the enemy jungle, but has this bomb been warded out actually by Suni? I don't think it has. JD have put down a ward on top of that blue buff, so Clid should be able to mirror the jungle here. However, look at the Berserker. He's headed straight there.
Yeah, we definitely see the pings coming out from Jingdong. They know that the Olaf is coming. Can Skarner steal this away? He still has his smite.
It's just not fast enough, unfortunately. Hacker, he's just saying thanks for the leash, bro. And Clid will have to walk away. He's not going to be able to beat Olaf this early on, especially with his team not rotating over towards the jungle.
Yeah, and this is pretty massive for Hacker, because as the Skarner, you really want to hit your level 6 as soon as possible. This is going to extend the phase where Olaf is much stronger on the map.
Really nice from Suni Gaming in this early game. Had that set up. Now Hacker would be able to clear the rest of his jungle, and he knows he will be uninterrupted here by Clid, so he'll go back into his own jungle and just try and clear up and look for that full clear without the extra buff. So he will be behind in experience towards Olaf. We can take a look at some of the runes out from Karma in the mid lane. Have gone for that Ares, followed up by the Gathering Storm as well in Sorcery Inspiration. Gonna be Minion Dematerializer as well.
Yeah, the interesting one definitely is the ultimate hat. As a Karma, you can get that charge up before 5 minutes and get that 15% reduced cooldown onto your ultimate. So it's always nice to see that that specifically tailored rune for Karma players.
It's always big value, and you know, you were shining a light on them before the game, but take a look at them once again. Yagao versus Knight. Both really making really strong arguments for being rookie of the split. Honestly, Yagao comes out of the gate swing. Yes, JD, maybe if they drop this game, will not be in contention for playoffs, but at the same time, Knight definitely could be if he wins this one.
Yeah, definitely the big stat there was the solo kills. Knight is more of your assassin player. He likes to play the side lanes, and it does reflect that in those solo kills. 15, leading at #1 in the LPL. For mid laners, of course.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, just seeing the Sedgewell push in constantly. Loken should be able to collect most of the CS that's going to hit this tower in just a couple seconds, but there is a small CS advantage starting to open up now just from the laning phase from Fury and Yu.
Yep, and we do have to mention that this is not a natural progression for the lane. Usually we see the Caitlyn does have the pushing advantage early on. However, this really stemmed from the level 1 from Suning Gaming. Olaf was around that area, so Jingdong wasn't able to push out. It was very risky for them.
Well, this is a ballsy play, because if anyone turns up like Clid, it could be very awkward. He flashes right on top of the Olaf. He takes away the dragon, but doesn't get the kill. Fury has to jump away. He lands the heal onto Hacker as well, and now Mao under attack. This is going to be turned around on, but Clid turns up to the scene and says to Fury, you can't keep chasing, and that'll be that.
Yeah, that was a great volunteer play coming out from Hacker there. So I understand the play right there, what he was thinking, because if you look at the map, the only camp Clid had up left was actually the Krugs. So he was kind of surprised he was on this side of the map this early, but good read from Clid.
Well, your guy's going to get a bunch of damage here with that paddle star. It's not going to be the kill, however. Knight is low on mana and health, and now Yagao actually going to the top rower as well, just to give Clid a pat on the back.
I can't imagine how unhappy Suning's laners must be. So 4 minutes into the game, suddenly all 3 lanes are getting free regeneration. That's massive for an Ocean Drake this early on.
And you wouldn't expect out from Mascara as well. It's not like he's going to solo at level 4, but Olaf did all the heavy lifting. So
yeah. You know, this bot lane must be completely thankful to Hacker right now, because look at them. They're reversing the lane. They're regenning up. They are able to use their wave clear now that they know the Olaf is no longer around, and they just have infinite mana now.
It's actually hilarious how much this has just tilted every single lane across the board. Yagao now teleports back into mid lane with the tier of the Goddess, and also with an Amp Tome to boot. And he's not really going to be running out of mana anytime soon, as you were saying there, Clement.
Yeah, this is pretty unfortunate, and it's kind of been a trend for Suning Gaming. A lot of times they are their own worst enemies. Hacker has been the one that has thrown a couple of times, especially against the RNG series as well, going too deep into the jungle, making poor calls, and so on and so forth. Suning Gaming for me is a comp. Ooh, wait a minute.
This is the 1 versus 1, perhaps
What?
a support kill. There's 2 more ticks. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is! Mal, the 1v1 support or combat kill. Meanwhile, in the top lane, knock up onto this Gnar. Zoom will get away from this one. Shower out of mana.
That was, okay. So that was definitely a mistake from Yoon, but really ballsy play from Lurimal anyway, coming out and sniping him with the Ignite as well. Last tick of the healing potion, not able to save Yoon from his fate. And that was probably the most unexpected first blood I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think in the history of League of Legends we've seen anything like that before, to be honest, for a first blood. But Mal secures it. 1-0 over Yoon right there, and he's going to pick up mobility boots first. Meanwhile, in the jungle, you've got Hacker pushing up into this red buff right now. This has been sighted out by himself, and Mal did not see him head into the jungle here.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling it. I feel like we're going to see a 3-game set. Like, Suning had a great start, and they've already gave most of the advantages back to Jingdong. Like, this is really typical between these two rookie teams. They do make a lot of mistakes. A lot of it is uncoordinated, and to be honest, it's just great to watch.
Yeah, mistakes mean opportunities to bounce back into the game, and that's exactly what JD Gaming have done right here. I will say, for them, their own worst enemy is definitely the Baron. Baron seems to elude them a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah. Remember that match against who was it? LGD?
Yep.
That they lost 4 Barons, even while being ahead the entire time. It was really impressive to watch.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Hacker is sprinting towards Zoom right now. You'll see this move down river. Does he have anyone to help? That's a resounding no, but Zoom is going to try and escape regardless. The axe lands, and that flash was wasted. A kill over to Hacker.
Yep, Hacker, that's already 6 buffs that he's taken. Like, he is about to take 6 buffs on the map, so he does have a very sound level advantage here, able to use his ultimate to just chase down Zoom. Zoom probably did not expect that it was going to come from his own jungle. Remember, Lurimal was just at the red a couple of seconds ago. So, you know, good props on Hacker, really finding the shades between the vision of Jingdong.
Yeah, he's probably extremely confused that he was coming from Tribush,
Yeah.
because almost all of that is warded, so... that just means that he was in his jungle for a long time. In fact, that's exactly what he was doing. So, unfortunately for Zoom, will die in this one. It's 1-for-1 currently in this game. Yoon's going to get a little bit of revenge there onto Mal, just poke him out of the jungle. But you can see JD are now doing the reverse. They're pushing into the bottom jungle now. Klid's going to be able to pick up this red buff.
Yep, this is great play from Jingdong. They know that the Olaf was already on the top side, so they instantly go bot and use the advantage they have in that bot lane pushing power and just ward everything up. So this is going to give Jingdong a couple of avenues to find fights here and really get that Zoe rolling in the game.
That's, of course, what you want. They picked that strong 2v2 for that very reason. They do have multiple facets to try and win through as well. That Zoe, if she gets rolling, of course, going to be one-shotting those carries. Caitlyn as well, and a late-game threat. When you look towards Suning, it's, well, you look towards the mid-game and hope for the best.
Yep, definitely. And the question really is, when are they going to start finding those mid-game fights? If you currently look at the map, they're getting pushed in the bot lane just because of that Ocean Drake there. And the question is, when are they going to be able to find their groupings to really make use of their mid-game composition?
That's the question right there. Yagao just missing that panel start in the mid lane, and for the most part these lanes are just following it out. You can see in the top lane Zoom has a small CS advantage, as is likely to happen in the Gnar-Ornn matchup. In mid lane pretty much equal as well, with a slight advantage to Yagao again on the Zoe. And in bottom lane it's actually a reversal. Loken has now gotten ahead of Fury, even though he had the early game advantage. Going towards the top lane again though, because Zoom has pushed up and Hacker's here once again, but it's the counter game from Klid, the 2 versus 2. But Zoom has taken mortal damage already. Here comes Knight from the middle lane. The flash comes out from Klid. The slowdown out from Yagao. He puts one to sleep, but it's 3 aggressors still on top of Klid, and there's the kill. Hacker finds the second.
And there's the answer. Suning continued to go towards the top side. They already have the vision established, and Karma was able to leave lane sooner than Yagao.
Got a couple kills over to Suning Gaming. Feels good for Hacker being getting out onto the board already. Yagao puts a bit of damage onto the minions, but this is probably going to be first tower here at 10 minutes over to Suning Gaming.
This is really bad news for Gnar. Gnar is that type of champion that he needs to stay ahead of the item curve to remain relevant. He's already fallen very far behind. Let's watch that again. Xiaoao misses one ability. Actually misses the other, but doesn't matter. Not very well played, but the idea and the concept was enough.
The numbers game, folks. Yagao tries his best. In the end, doesn't succeed, and Clid will end up dying. A shout out was just like, is anyone going to take this? But it was finished off by a nice undertow there by Hacker.
I'll flash when nobody is noticing. Oh, they turned around. Damn.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing. A lot of League of Legends players look at the game and they're just like, I can either outplay or in this 1 versus 2 it'll be okay. But numbers mean a whole lot in this game, regardless of the characters you're on. Just turning up to a fight can mean difference between life and death. You could literally miss everything on Ornn and still get kills.
Yep, pretty much. If you have the right map play, the rest doesn't really matter on your mechanics. Interesting build coming out from Karma right here. He's not going for the Ardent Sensor Rush or the Athene's Unholy Grail like we usually see from guys like Doinby. He's actually going towards the Tears of the Goddess build, so this is going to give him a lot more damage potential. He does realize that he is trying to hard carry an Ezreal, so not going into the Doinby like protect your carry build immediately.
I mean, you definitely have to try and bolster the amount of damage you have on this team. And come mid-game, they will hit very hard. I mean, Olaf is already big himself. His base damages already do a bunch of damage. And Karma, if she's building damage as well, will start to one-shot people with the AP damage. And the Fury is going to be chiming in there as well, with probably a completed Trinity Force by then, including Muramana. So the mid-game spike is huge for them.
Yep, and with all the assists on Karma and the lane priority, it's really stifling out Jingdong. They haven't been able to find any recent plays. I mean, Clid has been sitting on level 6 for quite a while. He hit level 6 for 5 minutes now. Hasn't been able to use the Impale at all.
Another one of those Skarner games. Occasionally you will see them where Skarner just doesn't get to use his ultimate ever.
Yeah. I really like this from Suning Gaming because it's kind of a reversal of what I expected would happen in the mid-game matchup. We're actually seeing Knight, the assassin player, go for the support and really bully out Yagao just with his wave clear and presence elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that Hacker was just going to run face first into danger and do the Olaf thing and just end up dying and then maybe throwing the early game, but has come back around for them and now have a pretty good sizable gold advantage to themselves, almost 2,000 gold at this point in time. Clid's going to locate Hacker in his jungle and shoo him away. Though Blue Buff hasn't spawned just yet. Next round's also going to be another Ocean. Jingdong Gaming, important to note, they managed to pick that second one up as well while the action was happening topside. So they are regenning the heck out of their lanes right now.
Yep, this is not a dragon that I feel like Jingdong really wants to fight around. They're probably just going to hold on to their bot lane as long as possible. Not really looking to contest and fight this. The laning phase is almost over anyway. So I expect a couple more minutes of just trying to farm out.
Yeah, for both teams and to try and scale up. Rift Herald as well will also be an objective in the near future for the teams to look towards. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, Mal has a nice knock up onto Fury, but here comes the shield, and here comes the Black Shield on top of it as well. So Fury is going to be absolutely A-okay.
Black Shield is a great tool against the Caitlyn trap line. You can use one Black Shield and basically clear the entire line of traps. They don't do enough magic damage to go through the shield. So interesting pickup there.
Hacker looks to be soloing the Herald right here, but it's a play in the bottom side from JD, so Suning Gaming are going to have to try and survive this onslaught if they want to get away with the Herald for nothing. Comes Loken, landing that ace in the hole, and JD rock up to the bottom lane. They have this minion wave here. Only 2 minions left, though, but they are putting damage onto the tower very quickly.
No teleport on the Karma. We're seeing Knight. He's not coming towards the bot lane. Instead, they're looking for the trade with Herald in the mid.
Yeah, mid lane's exposed, however, and Clid's also very low, actually dangerously low. Here comes the Herald, and this might actually just be a mid lane for bot lane trade in terms of towers, and Suning Gaming, they're already ahead. Here comes Yagao. Lands that paddle star onto Hacker right there, and I think this is just going to be it, as long as Herald just faces the right way. Unfortunate.
Yep, even though they don't get the tower, I think the idea is really sound here. Suning is poised to open up the entire map. And this is going to be incredibly frightening because you're going to have a Hacker with Karma support and also Dark Shield. So even if the Ragnarok falls off, he's still going to be CC immune for a very long time. And he's sitting at 2-0-1. Like, that's a scary Berserker to face in your own jungle.
And you're looking to JD and it's just like, well, who's going to have a bad time? Well, Loken and Yagao are going to be very hard for them to run away, and Knight definitely thought one auto attack would do it. 39 HP on that tower, but eventually knocks it over. So Suning Gaming breaking open the mid lane tower. Let's see what they can do with this. As you said, they're heading into mid game now. This is their time to shine.
Yep. Jingdong have found no payoff with the Zoe pick so far. She has no assists, no kills, haven't found any action, and really, Zoe is the type of pick, if you don't get early action, she can seem quite worthless later on in the game. She does need to stay ahead of the curve. She does have a very assassin-like type of game style. So, I don't know, man. It does feel like Jingdong needs to find that action somewhere soon, or Suning are just going to run them off the map.
Especially over the next 5 to 10 minutes, this is exactly when they're going to be powerful. Yagal's still trying to farm up, though. He's got the Archangel staff, and that's pretty much all he's got, plus the Sorcerer's boots. Loken's moving into the bottom side here with Clid, but Dragon's up in a minute, so it's not like there's an easy objective to move towards for JD. But Suning Gaming, they can just meet them on the field wherever, whenever.
Pretty much, and they are setting up to fight around this next Drake.
Great Ragnarok out from Hacker. You will have to burn this, though, so he might look for the turnaround. For now, JD do burn a crucial ultimate.
Good footsies there from Hacker. Dodges all of the skill shots.
Also being CC immune, but that's all they're going to get for now. And most likely, Hacker's ultimate will be back up for the Dragon if JD are looking for the fight. And you said yourself, Clement, that probably unlikely that JD will look for the full 5-on-5 right here, especially if Mal gets picked off. He goes into the Unbreakable Will, and someone's going to go to sleep.
Yep. I think the idea from Jingdong was they didn't want to fight the 5v5 necessarily around Drake, but they did want to pick some members off that were trying to set up the Drake. So good idea from Jingdong Gaming. Unfortunately, they're going up against an Olaf who does have that CC immunity, so not able to close the deal.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, just pushing up these waves now, trying to encroach that vision on the jungle. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Loken low. Fury keeps on landing his Mystic shots. In fact, just doesn't stop. Now with Hacker into the bottom lane as well, they're putting the pressure on this last outer turret.
And that is the biggest telltale sign of a mid-game composition. He's not going for the Frozen Gauntlet. He is going for the Triforce build. It spikes incredibly hard here. He does have that 2 extra attack. Not attack damage, but like 2 extra auto attacks on the Sheen proc right there from the Triforce. So he is hitting like a truck. And when he is backed up by Karma and Morgana right there, that's how he's going to play. He's going to Arcane Shift right in front of you and dare you to stand and fight him.
Meanwhile, Suning will look towards the Dragon right here because there's only one ward down from JD. It will actually spawn Suning Gaming starting this one, but you can see with Zoom in top side and Clid in top side, no one wants to deal with this for JD Gaming, so it will be the free Dragon take, the first one of the game here for Suning, basically denying the triple Ocean Dragons over to JD.
We do have to take a look at the game plan so far. I feel like Jingdong, they put their eggs in 2 different baskets. They wanted Yagao and Clid to do well in the early mid-game. They wanted Loken to do well in the later game. However, what they didn't take into account was giving over the entire early game towards Suning Gaming. So even in the late game, I feel like Jingdong's composition doesn't really round out that well. And Suning basically can get away with their mid-game comp.
Been showing so far. JD will just get themselves an extra 30 gold, plus take out the crab in the bottom side. Baron will be spawning in just under a minute, but it's unlikely unless we see like a 5-man ace that team would go for that at the 20-minute mark, though next Dragon will also be Infernal. So JD, in the next 5 to 6 minutes or so, will need to mount some sort of offense, because otherwise they'll just start bleeding out resources across the board.
Yep, and you can see Suning Gaming already going for the Spires inside Jingdong's own jungle. They know they have a very strong fight at this point. He's CC immune. He doesn't even care.
You can do this all day. Jump in with the Black Shield and start poking away on those squishies, and Yagao was not going to win that duel in the mid lane. Suning Gaming just pushing in these minions, making sure that they're all happy, pushing towards the towers. Maybe even looking for a pick as well if that Morgana Dark Binding lands. And just kind of wasting time right now. If they can find a pick, great, but other than that, they're just trying to push in waves.
Yep, you really do have to think about how is it possible to actually kill Fury at this point if he has that shield and has that black shield on him as well. It will really take Yagao to burst the black shield down and then Clid to flash ult him for him to really die. So he can play incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, it's a 2-step process for JD and a difficult one at that. Here comes the minion wave, and for now JD have managed to clear out the minion wave pretty effectively, but here comes the roam. Shout out, great knock-up onto Zoom right there, interrupts the hop. Here comes the Ornhorn, another knock-up onto the Gnar. It's not going to be a kill right here, but he is low, and now the push comes into the bottom lane from Suning, and a rotation from JD. Let's see if it's fast enough. It seems like it is.
Yep, no more minions left for Suning Gaming. Jingdong will hold on to this one. But it's just startling how easy Suning is making this look. They are moving through the jungle highway with impunity. This is the point of the map that's really interesting, because if you can take the jungle route, you actually have the advantage over the defenders. You can move between lanes faster.
Now JD just instantly engage on you, but decide to back away, and now Clid is just dark bound right in the middle of the team. There's going to be a reversal kill onto Hacker, however. 1-for-1 on the junglers. Fury trading blows with Zoom, but he has to jump away, and someone needs to block this. It's going to be Xiao Al. Zoom gets to slow down onto Yoon as well, and Yagao is still following. Xiao Al dashes to safety to his team, and Yagao is still chasing, looking for that stun. But now Suning looking to turn this one around. They see Zoom is low. Here comes the banana, flies across. No one takes it, and the flash falls out from Xiao Al. He may pay for it for his life. Mao is low. Not a flash. Everyone's flashing. Fury finds the kill, and JD, they managed to get away from the play.
Great play there coming out from Suning Gaming. Actually, the first part of it started with Yoon. Black shielding the impale coming out from Clid. Clid had to turn away with no gains whatsoever, loses his life almost in the instant. Hacker goes a little bit forward, and then we have that great back and forth right there. It came out really close. Suning actually could have taken a lot more here. Let's watch Clid going in for the impale. His ult actually goes on to cooldown, but it doesn't come down. Olaf already hit the Ragnarok. However, the damage coming out from Yagao over the wall, able to make this an even fight. Fury stepping up a little bit too far in the matchup. There's no black shield for Yoon. Instantly flashes out, and it does look like Jingdong might be able to chase this down, but at the last moment, Shala comes back in. Zoom misses his ultimate on most of the targets, and then we have Fury missing his R as well, but able to clean up the kills on the back front.
And eventually it was a 2-for-1 trade right there, and for now JD have been able to repel the onslaught, but Suning Gaming just come right back, honestly, look towards the towers once again, try and knock them down. They are taking everything away from the jungle as well. So in terms of resources, they are gradually accruing more and more. JD actually moving to the top side of the map here, trying to get vision while they know that Suning Gaming is in the bottom half. And holy crap, look at that Ezreal damage in that last team fight. Here comes a teleport out from Suning Gaming. The follow through from the Olaf as well. Loken flashes over the wall, and Mao is completely by himself. And the Berserker is not going to stop. Finds the kill. 1 versus 1 against the AD carry in the back lines. And the bot lane goes boom.
That's a true Berserker right there. The Righteous Glory and the Karma speed up allows him to chase down Loken with Flash by himself. That was incredibly scary to watch, and this is why Jingdong's composition is falling apart. They don't have any mid-game power to contest Suning.
Gao comes out there with the Spell Thief Flash. Another push into mid lane as well. Zoom wants to get out of here, but there's so much damage from Fury. Yes, he hasn't taken any damage yet because the shields on shields on shields, and he is safe to push as far as he wants. Inner tower will go down to Suning.
Man, I can't wait for the Shield Breaker stats to start coming out from League of Legends in 8.7. We are having that on Aurelia, where certain skills and abilities will start doing more damage to shields. Yep. But Suning know that. They know the patch hasn't hit, and they're like, man, we're going to ride this to the bank before it goes out.
Oh yeah, as many shields as possible, man. Get that one rolling for us. And you can see how powerful it is. The fact that Ezreal took 0 damage in that one, didn't have to be healed, and could run down the tanks of the team. Exceptionally strong. Take a look at his gold actually right now. Over 10,000 gold at 24 minutes.
Yep, has the Kleptomancy with him. Also the good performances so far in this game. And I just want to say, Suning, this is such an interesting composition to watch. But first, before we go into that, Hacker with his speed. He did finish Righteous Glory, I believe, and that's just the speed up from Karma right there. Flashes over the wall. Ragnarok. Doesn't matter if he steps on traps, and also the Predator.
Whew. It's just a sad reality of being an AD carry playing in Olaf, to be honest. It's like, well, what do you do? I burnt my 90 caliber there, and my flash, and my heal, and it still wasn't enough to get away from Olaf. He just keeps on sprinting.
Yeah, he has 3 speed ups that are all over 40%. So I really don't know how you get away from him. Like, you need your teammates there to burst the Olaf down, or he's just going to go straight for Loken's head every single time.
100%. Suning Gaming right there managed to pick up an Infernal Dragon as well, which will only make them stronger. They can continue to try and ride this wave in the mid game, which they have done exceptionally well so far, getting themselves a 5,000 gold lead, 3 towers over their opponent, and also controlling the Baron area.
This is great coaching out from Suning Gaming. Coach Sim right there at the helm, able to come up with a very unique composition, flip the script on Knight, make him play Karma, the supportive champion, and put the main carry on Fury. This looks really like an SKT comp with the Lulu and with Bang on Lucian. That's what it reminds me of, but it's Suning style.
And they do it well. Their style is definitely come together over this last split. last split last year, in fact, Sunny Gaming were very much a slow team. They're still trying to find their footing, figure out what type of team they are, and they sped up significantly coming into spring.
I have an inkling that that mainly has to do with Knight. So Coach Sim might be telling him, you know, we want to play this slow team. It's about setup and macro rotation. And like Knight's like, no, I just want to kill him in lane. It's like, oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to do that, that works, and we just play around the early game, you know?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because they were the Korean team of the LPL in the last split. The slowest team to play, the lowest CKPM, champion kills per minute. And in this split, they actually are playing the fastest. So huge turnaround and a great boost from their rookie mid laner.
Yeah, really one of the only teams that are playing faster than them right now is Invictus Gaming, who are just, mainly because they just demolished everyone in laning phase, but Sunny Gaming, their rotations are really what has sold them so far, and right now they are on the cusp of locking down a playoff spot once again, and remember they did this last year as well, so fantastic stuff for the organization, who are still very young in the LPL itself.
Yep, they did have a very short stint in the playoffs last time around, made 6th place, but were eliminated in the first round. This year they are looking at a fairly deep run. If they manage to secure their playoff seeding here, they will be able to go against BLG.
Right now the ramp doesn't quite land onto JD Gaming, but they're just trying to scramble over vision right now. Yagao is playing it a little bit risky, jumping there with the portal jump, but Sunny Gaming will control this area still, and JD, I mean, the biggest thing is just don't get caught out of position. Actually, Zoom is heading to the bottom side here, the split push, and you'd think that JD just want to stall right here, but Mal steps a little too far forwards, and Yagao also takes a bunch of damage from that Mystic shot. Here comes the True Shot barrage as well, and Yagao is sent packing. Here comes Haka. He's thinking about going into the base, but thinks better of it. In the bottom lane, Zoom is still pushing, but JD, that did not go well for them.
Oh yeah, it's never a good sight when the enemy Ezreal is poking harder than your Zoe. So that was 1 Q, and it took Yagao to half health. So I feel like Jingdong, like in game 2, they need to come up with a draft that has more early game assurances. Like if this is the way that Sunny's gonna play, they just have no chance.
Mao is constantly just being the sacrificial cow right here. Oh, the Mystic shot misses. However, he's able to follow through with the Arcane Shifts and pick up the kill onto Mal regardless. Didn't have the ultimate right there, and Sunny Gaming get the pick, and they're still looking for more. Fury is located Loken in the mid lane.
I want to play that Ezreal, man. That looks fun. You just go in, you have no worries, you know your teammates are going to back you up. You have that massive shield. I think that's like 600 HP right there for someone like Yagao that does magic damage to go through.
And your CC immune. It's just like you just feel like a god right now. Like you're playing Ascension mode or something, but here comes Clid. Well, here goes Clid, because Xiao Ao is zoning everybody away right now. It seems like Sunny Gaming more after the kills than they are after the Baron right now, using that as a tool to drag JD Gaming outside of their base before really committing to it.
A bit of a wrong call from Sunny Gaming right there. We did see Jingdong Gaming back off immediately, so they could have continued on the Baron. Overcommitted a little bit for the chase, and this will give Jingdong a bit of a respite, give them a chance to really clear the vision back.
It has really been the first time in this game they've had a moment to breathe, that Sunny Gaming has not been sieging them or looking for a fight, looking for a skirmish, or pushing into minion waves, and JD will push up the mid lane right here. Zoom still has a teleport if he wants to move to a side lane, but honestly right now it seems like he just needs to be with the team, because if they get engaged on, he needs to be there for the ult.
Yep. Both of these teams are very momentum-based. If they make a mistake, they tend to it tends to negatively impact their play going onward. So I do want to see a clean close from Sunny Gaming. I don't want to have them go into the clown car back again. They are the team that does lose a lot of games. You think like, wait a minute, what's happening here? So a clean game from them is actually very important. It would show tremendous growth.
Definitely, and JD, on the other hand, looking towards this Baron, and the Baron has very much been the bane of their existence through most of the splits, to be honest. The only thing that's really held them back is everything around the Baron. Everything else about their play has been relatively solid. You know, the synergy between Clid and Yagao just making plays in the mid lane. Zoom, even in his 1v1 matchups, actually has some of the highest stats in the LPL just in the top lane. You know, so pound for pound, JD are actually a pretty powerful team. But when it comes to Baron, that is their Achilles heel.
Yep. They do have a record of stealing Barons themselves as well. We did see Yagao steal one before. They will need that now.
Let's see if they can make it happen. Sunny looking for the full retreat right now, but someone is just being put to sleep. Here comes Zoom. The ramp comes through for looking for the disengage more than anything else, and Zoom taking a lot of damage on the way out. Here comes Ezreal as well. Transforms Mega, gets a redemption here on top of that, and Xiao Ao is pushing forwards with his team. Fury, he's unstoppable though with all of these shields on top of him. He can keep on chasing for days.
Yep, he's still going. He does have the red buff on him. That's incredibly frightening. You do see Jingdong backing up. If Fury is able to slow someone, then Suni for sure can run that person down.
Suni Gaming, seeing once again in the death rush. They're very much playing around this Baron, trying to bait them through. It's finally been seen out though by JD Gaming, and I think they can probably send Zoom back to base here. Though he has just stopped his recall. And Suni Gaming have started this. JD Gaming do not have any vision anymore, and Clid is having to push this one by one, ward by ward, but it's not enough time. The Baron's already dead. That will be the Drowsy down onto Yoon, but he's just going to back away from this one, and Suni get the Baron take.
Yeah, a bit of a risky play from Suni right there, but does go for the correct bet. Actually, Fury was very low on mana. I wasn't sure that was the right move, because if Jingdong actually were able to stop them, then they could have got a fight. Per Fury's damage would have been significantly cut. But, you know, Jingdong, they were very cautious in moving towards the Baron pit. They didn't have vision. They had to clear ward by ward, bush by bush. So Suning do run away with that play.
And they have this Baron buff. We'll see how much they can do with it, because there are still 2 inner turrets to knock out in the top lane and the bottom lane here. And JD, let's see if they can try and defend this one, because they do have Yugao, basically the essentially the Nidalee of mid lane, looking for those long-range paddle stars to hit and try and chunk down Fury. But I'm actually wondering how much damage that's going to do, whether it can actually get through both of those shields.
Yeah, not a lot of damage right now. If you look at the Morellonomicons, the flat pen basically means that he is looking for Fury in the front line. He wants to punish him for his aggression, but he is very far behind and still only sitting on 1 assist. That's not where you want to be as a Zoe.
You want to be that constant track of the sniper in the mid lane, and Suni Game will find themselves the bottom inner turret and continue the assault right here. They have this mini wave pushing in. And I've got the cannon minion as well. Has not been banned up though. So JD have potential just to sit here for a little bit and allow Fury to keep on poking, trying to play dodgeball, essentially dodge as many of the Mystic shots as they can. Suni Gaming having a little bit of trouble stepping up to the tower. They've knocked it down to half though.
Yep, what Suning Gaming are doing is that they're playing around the cooldowns of the Black Shield. Once the Black Shield wears off, they just back out and wait for another go again. So that was pretty good play from Suning Gaming. I think it was very calculated. And on Jingdong's side, we have yet to see the combo. The combo to break the Black Shield and drag Fury back into the lineup. They do need that miracle play to happen.
Do have the tools right now, and oh, Yagao has been caught out. He just managed to flash away on this one. And the round doesn't get sent through, but that's enough harass that maybe Suni can just break through the middle lane turret right here. Yeah, Clid is not feeling it. He's not going to go in on this one. And Suni Gaming looking towards the inhibitor will be able to get this one down.
Look at Yagao's HP right there. He took a Q to the face and was down to less than 200 HP. So, I mean, Fury has just had a field day this game. Like, he can do anything he wants. He can play on the front lines as far as possible. And he's still able to out-damage Zoe at this point.
Now Suni Gaming will go back to the top lane, pick up this basically standing gold at this point tower, and I look towards another siege right here. Here comes the trap line out from Loken, but there is a Morgana on the enemy team, so see if we can just defuse all of the traps that are right in front of their faces.
And it does take Caitlyn a while to replenish those traps, so I like the way Suning Gaming is playing this. Once they see the trap line is down, they instantly rotate towards another lane. They don't want to contest that.
Go back to the bottom lane, just rinse and repeat. There's nothing really stopping them right now. With the super minions hammering down the middle lane, someone has to constantly deal with this if you're JD Gaming, and Suni Gaming can move into the bottom lane and just continue pushing.
Yeah, and I really want to see the damage numbers coming out from Fury right now, because if we look at Karma, she has 3 items that can really help him. The Ardent Sensor and also the Zeke's Convergence is going to translate 50% of his damage towards magical.
And the fact that Fury can just walk up that far when there's an Alistair staring him in the face is just pretty interesting.
Yeah, he actually just stepped on the trap as well, and the trap just went off.
Yep, this is no fear.
Yeah.
You don't need to have any fear when you're Ezreal with double shields and the spell immune. There's just so much work for Suni Gaming in this game, getting ahead early, snowballing it now into the middle, into the mid game. This is now approaching the late game, and Suni Gaming are still ahead, riding this wave that they've had since the early game. And it's just about knocking down these final inhibitor towers now to really seal the deal.
Yep, stepping back once more, once the Black Shield is down. They're taking no risks whatsoever. I like this from Suning Gaming. They are a team that has shown the propensity to kind of throw games, so they're taking it slow. They know this one is incredibly important. It's for all the marbles. It's for that coveted 4th place spot in the East.
Is indeed, because the top 3 is basically sealed. I mean, RNG have not gotten their playoff spot just yet, but they are incredibly close. You look towards Invictus Gaming and RW, definitely not going to be moving now. They've both clinched their playoff spots respectively. So for now, it really is the race over for these two teams. Suni Gaming really in the best situation, and they're poised to take game 1.
Yep. You know, Hacker this game, he's really left the clown car at home. He's on the pain train right now. So picking a suitable vehicle for this game.
Always important. Ezreal is going to continue pushing this bottom lane now. It's kind of a 1-3-1 that's been created with Xiao Ao in the top lane, Hacker in the mid lane guiding in the super minions, and then the rest of the team in the bottom lane pushing these minions as well. Actually, maybe just waiting on these Mantra objectives. About a minute until Elder Dragon now, and 2 minutes until that Baron as well.
Yep. What Jingdong are pretty much waiting on is still damage coming out from Yagao. Most of the farm has been funneled into Loken, and Loken does have most of the items he needs. However, they still are missing damage from one of their big carries. So they're just looking to stall out for a couple more minutes, probably get the death cap onto Yagao before they can really make their comeback. And on Suning's front, I feel like they should not allow Jingdong to do that. They should try to end the game before it and really use that Ezreal power spike.
And they have 2 tools in which they will be able to do that. Everyone's moving to the top lane right now from Suning. Going to give this top lane tower a crack. And if that doesn't work, then we can turn around and we can go to the monster objectives. And you can fight us 5 versus 5 on open ground, JD, and see how that one goes. So we're getting some poke damage down onto Knight. Likewise, damage from Yagao onto Hacker. But Fury just demolished Zoom, and he's meant to be the tank of the team.
So if I'm reading this correctly, that's about 700 HP just from shielding.
Yeah, it's a lot. That was a nice bubble there onto Fury, but it wasn't really the follow-up damage that they needed, and Fury's going to get all of that health back right now. Here come the Mantra objectives. So Suni Gaming, pretty happy with how that one went in the top lane, and we'll back away.
We're starting to see Yagao's burst alone being able to go through the Black Shield. So instead of a combination between 2 members on Jingdong, Yagao could potentially get the hero play himself at this point. He does have the AP to start doing it. This is going to make Suning pushes a lot more difficult.
He's also feeling the bubbles. That was 2 for 2 right there from Yagao onto the target, exactly who he needs to kill. That's pesky Ezreal. Here comes Clid. He's walking up to the dragon. He's seen that this has been started off by Sunin. Pushing forwards, it's only down to half right now. Mao is looking for the wide flank. Maybe Suning Gaming can just move towards him. They are just playing this one safe, poking down the dragon, getting to critical mass right now. Low vision on both sides. Here comes the Ornhorn. And he would not be able to knock it back because he's caught in the trap. But Dragon is still low. It's around 4,000 HP right now, but it is resetting. Getting tired with all the shenanigans that are happening. That was a nice bit of damage down onto Fury. We'll get healed up by the Redemption. JD Gaming still pressuring over this one. It's incredibly important that they try and get this one for themselves. Do not let Suni Gaming take the Dragon.
Zoom's almost at full rage right now. He is looking for the engage. Without being poked out, Jingdong's team composition is still incredibly powerful.
And they haven't been poked out just yet. Fury hasn't managed to connect the damage. Again, Dragon down to half. The zoning trap line and the bubble on the floor. Yagao throwing out those bubbles constantly. Here comes Mao. Lands a knockup onto Fury, but he has been saved on this one. Scholar will secure the Dragon, and JD, can they make this happen now? Because that's a massive shield and a massive re-engage out from Xiao Ao. Everyone dives out of the trenches, and only 2 kills, 1 apiece.
Yep, Hacker goes down there, and great play from Jingdong right there. I think Suning had some of the right ideas. They were looking at Zoom without rage, so they wanted to rush down the Elder Drake. However, Jingdong Gaming were already at mid lane when they attempted to do that, so it was a very easy rotation for Jingdong Gaming to catch them in the act. And not a lot of poke coming out from the Ezreal.
This was definitely a trap set up by JD Gaming, but Xiao Ao's the one to face check. That's a great knockup. Knight just obliterates Clid right in front of JD's eyes. Now they have to try and retreat. Donk Binding doesn't connect. And the retreat comes in, but Fury is still chasing it down. He's got both the shields on top of him. Flash forwards, connects the Mystic Shot, connects the second, takes down Yagao. Here's Zoom as well. He dodges the Dark Binding, but Fury is hot on his heels. Doesn't manage to land the knockback because the Black Shield comes in at the perfect time from Yoon. And there's the back shield, followed up by the Binding, the lockdown, and the dead Zoom.
All right, so on the other hand, that was not a very good idea from Jingdong at all. So they waited in the brush and they wanted to make a combo and make short work of Xiao El. But if you look at Xiao El's items,
he's not really afraid of the Caitlyn. Like, he's going to take a very, very long time to kill. So Xiao takes all of the punishment, turns it around, and then Fury can follow up with someone taking in front of him.
There was no stopping that battering ram, and I saw what JD were looking for. They had that bit of extra true damage to combat stats, but Suning Gaming just so far ahead. This is the last ditch attempt now as the redemption comes down and heals up Yoon and the rest of the team. Malcourt on the front lines does not want to be there anymore. Triple knockup coming in from Xiao once again, and Loken kiting back, but he cannot get through this gigantic tank on the front line. Loken, the only surviving member of JD, and Suning Gaming will win Game 1 of the e-commerce wars.
And Suning Gaming, they're one win away from securing their berth into the Eastern playoffs. That was a very good game from them. I really think it started from the draft phase. Coach Sim coming out with a very unique strategy, focusing down on the mid game, and also putting Knight on Karma, a pick that we don't really associate with him. He was able to keep Yagao Zoe down and also use that mid game spike to power through most of the mid game where Caitlyn couldn't have an answer. But I will say it was a bit needlessly dangerous towards the later half of that game. However, Suning still come up with the victory.
I definitely agree with you there, Clement. It was dangerous. We even were a little bit skeptical in Champion Select. It was just like, oh man, you've only got Karma and Ezreal for damage on this team. If you go late, you are doomed. But hey, they proved us wrong. They were managed to win the early game, transition that into the mid game, and nothing was stopping that Ezreal.
Yep, the key words here are really the top-down approach from Suning Gaming. Know that they're going to focus on the mid-game and also the Triforce build being picked up from Fury. You know, Fury, we usually think of him as a utility AD carry. He's really known for the Ashe, but he can hyper-carry in those moments. He came from Longzhu, and he does have those chops with him.
He knew how far he could push up with that one, being immune to essentially all damage and all effects in that one. And just honestly, really great game coming out of Suning Gaming, and this is exactly when it needs to happen as well, because their direct competitors over that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference is JD.
All right, if you look at the damage graphs right here, Fury did more damage than the entire enemy team.
How much? That's almost 50k.
Yes,
the most
he did
on
48k.
Yeah, the most on JD is 20k from Yagao and 16 from Loken.
And what an innovative strategy. This is the first time we've actually seen Morgana plus Karma with the Ezreal, just for the chase down potential. They're giving all the red buffs to him. If he slowed someone, the entire team could follow up. And it's just a very interesting strategy, and they did make it work. However, we do have to criticize, still not as clean around the Baron and the Elder Drake. A bit dicey in certain situations.
That is true, but it was the aura of JD Gaming around Baron that just made it happen. For now, though, we are going to send it back to the analyst desk to get us into Game 2 and break down Game number 1.
Thank you so much. And Suning did not disappoint. The e-commerce wars, the clash of these two top-tier teams to fight for the final playoff spot is well underway. And Suning strike first, or should I say Fury, on that Ezreal, running people down, arcane shifting into Zoe. Sees the Sleepy Trouble bubble go off, and he's like, you know what? I want a piece of this. And then he gets right in there, and there's nothing Zoe can do.
Yeah, you really can't. You actually, I didn't even know what to do there, so
yeah,
I can sympathize. Here's the thing, because I remember this composition, a style of this composition. We've seen it mostly from like SKT, old SKT. It's like a band composition. You have Lulu Lucian, Lulu Ezreal, and you're wondering, well, here's the problem with that. You have so much protection for a mid-game champion, so you do get outscaled when you go up against the Caitlyn, but your mid-game spike is so damn large that you can just run them roughshod. You can walk up to them and contest them at every objective. That's what we got to see here today. I think Suning Gaming showcased that Game 1 composition really worked well for them.
JD, they tried to strike back and respond appropriately, but they found themselves a little unable to.
Yeah, I was a little worried for Suning Gaming because you're right, they were unable to in a lot of regards, but the problem with this is that it is a mid-game composition. And a lot of my criticisms to Suning Gaming is that they lack focus in the mid game. So you saw that.
It's exactly what we talked about beforehand. You know, they're great when they've got an early game plan and they get in with the early execution, but the moment things start to go a little wonky, like, wait, they're actually fighting us for the Baron, then things get wishy-washy.
Here's the sad thing. They weren't even fighting them. It was like 27 minutes into the game where they were just fishing for kills. Fishing for kills and wondering if they should go back towards the Baron and try to rush it because they had so much pressure around it. They didn't want to find themselves at 50-50.
They couldn't make up their mind.
They couldn't make up their minds because, honestly, Jingdong were understanding that Suning Gaming were just camping out in the bushes. And so Alistar was face-checking, got killed eventually, but it took so long that Caitlyn got to her 3rd item, that she was working on to her 4th item. Suning Gaming could have cleaned it up much earlier on, but regardless of that, they finally find the fights that they were looking for so long, and they were able to run down Jing.
So let's actually start with how we ended up getting to this point, because again, it is always such a treat to break down how Suning play around their early game execution, because they are so clearly one of the best early game teams in the league. And when we've got Invictus Gaming and names like that, it's just so impressive.
Early game is the big one, and even though the execution, just a bit of a meme, because Xiao just misses all of that execution. The setup was important, because just before this play, Hacker comes up, gets the ganks off, recognizes that Nar doesn't have flash anymore, so he comes back to the lane, brings the Karma with him. So this has just been a style of play for Hacker, or at least the style of play for Suning Gaming as a whole, coming up to this set. And it didn't matter that they have a supportive mid laner and a tank top laner, they still went for it. So Suning Gaming making it known that that play was something that they can do even with a supportive comp.
And of course, just a few minutes later, we happen to see our next play from Suning, once again, to try to further snowball that advantage?
Yes, because in the last replay, the result of it was the fact that they took that top lane tower. So they set their eyes on towards the mid lane tower. It was nice to see Jingdong focusing so much towards the bottom lane, but the moment that all happens, Xiao Al comes towards that mid lane. Knight sticks towards that mid lane. And so sure, this Rift Herald, funny enough, isn't going to get that last hit, but it's Knight who comes back towards it, just autos it. Sure, he's going to take a few turret shots, but the damage is done where the complete top side of the map is made rid of when it comes towards the outer turrets.
And again, we have to point out the fact that this is Knight on Karma. Before the game, we were hyping up him to be the hyper carry for Suning, to bring direction with a strong, powerful mid laner who takes control of his lane and don't take no sass from any opponent laners. But he plays Karma, and all he does is he gets buddy-buddy with Yoon, and they stand behind Fury, and they say, go, do your thing.
We have faith in you. And that showcases how diverse the team is. Of course, diverse in Knight's own playstyle, that he can go back towards the supportive picks. I haven't seen him play Karma at all, but I've seen him play Orianna. So he can play supportive. This time around, it showcases that in the later portions of the game, they can just play towards Fury, because everyone forgets about Fury, the fact that he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah. How can you forget about Fury, one of the best AD carries in the league, even though he's only been playing for just about a year in the LPL. He's actually going to take our man of the match for that game 1 against Jingdong. 5-0-6. What's not to like about that face? Look at that.
Oh, thinking man. Yeah, not much to think about, because he's just running them down. So 56% damage percentage, because it was all around him. It wasn't the Karma dealing damage, of course. She went straight towards Thiene's Unholy Grail, and even going towards, forget the Zeke's
Harbinger,
Harbinger, really strong for her to just back up the Ezreal, and he was just able to run roughshod.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Fury moving all across the map. Again, this is a strategy that was what originally gave Suning success in the LPL, back before they had Knight in the mid lane. Of course, that was the Lulu Karma Caitlyn style composition, and that's the infamous 5-man Kled backdoor. But Raz, this is Suning coming out of the gate swinging game 1. We know Jingdong isn't a very emotional team on average, but this is their playoff bracket on the line. Do you think they have what it takes to run it back?
I don't even know anymore, because going into this game, I thought it was Jingdong going to be casting the first stone with a Caitlyn pick. They did pick Caitlyn, but they didn't expect that it was Suning that had such a strong diversity. So no, I feel like it might just come down to a 2-0.
Oh, bold words. We'll have to see if that's the case, though. We're going to go and take a quick break while we get ready for that game 2. Don't go anywhere. The e-commerce wars will be right back.